The biggest underwater volcano has finally woken up and something scary is happening. Hello, welcome to our channel. Did you know that if you take a closer look at the map of the Pacific Ocean, you will find Tonga, an archipelago of about 170 islands in Polynesia, which is located almost 3,700 kilometers east of Australia. Tonga is a chain of islands located under a colossal underwater ridge called Tonga Chromatic Ridge, stretching from the North Island of New Zealand to the islands of Samoa, just 65 kilometers north of Tonga Tapu. The main island of Tonga, about 30 kilometers to the south, with the underwater volcano of Faunafu, lies the giant underwater volcano known as the Hunga Tunga Hunga Hapai. If you want to know this and much more, I invite you to join us today to discover everything that hides this wonderful, dangerous, and amazing work of Mother Nature. So, let's get started. Being part of the highly active subduct zone of Chromatic Tonga and its associated volcanic arc as the Tonga Hunga Hapai, it lies about 100 kilometers above the incredibly active seismic zone, and for this reason has kept scientists and volcanologists around the world on edge for decades. Their biggest nightmare is becoming a reality now that Tonga volcano is finally exploding and has cracked the earth. The concerning and speculations are justified as a massive eruption in the last year that shook the entire world. The colossal volcano rises some 2,000 meters from the seabed, had a caldera that was approximately 150 meters below sea level and 4 kilometers at its widest point. The eruption of the volcano near Tonga on January 15, 2022 put the entire planet on alert, an explosion that was heard as far away as the United States and caused waves of more than 1 meter to ram the Tongan coast. In its first statement on the damage, the government on Tuesday described the situation as unprecedented disaster and reported 3 confirmed deaths, that of 2 locals, a 65-year-old woman and a 49-year-old man, and a British citizen, Angela Glover, 50, who, according to her family, was trying to save her dogs when she was swept away by the water. Communications in the area are at a standstill after the eruption and tsunami severed an undersea cable, making it difficult to establish the scale of destruction. But the consequences were not only left in the archipelago. In Peru, 10,000 kilometers from the volcano, 2 women were reported dead due to abnormally high waves, and in other countries including Japan and Chile, tsunami warnings were issued. What are submarine volcanoes like the one in Tonga like, and how do they manage to trigger such powerful events? First, we must solve the question: what is a submarine volcano? A submarine volcano is a volcano located entirely or mostly below sea level. They form in places where magma from the Earth's interior seeps through the vents or fissures in the Earth's crust onto the seafloor. Submarine volcanic eruptions are characteristic of rift zones where crustal plates form, according to the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. In these areas of high seismic activity, magma rises and accumulates between the cracks in the volcano's rocks until there is no more space and it explodes. According to NOAA, 3/4 of the planet's volcanic activity corresponds to the submarine eruptions. Some oceanographers estimate that there are 1 million volcanoes on the floor of the Pacific Ocean alone, according to the UK's National Maritime Museum. A brief pause. If you made it this far and you're liking our content, subscribe to our channel to keep up to date with our new videos. Now, let's continue with the video. What is the Hunga Tunga Hunga Hapai volcano like? The volcano consists of the junction of 2 uninhabited islands, Hunga Tunga and Hunga Hapai, located 65 kilometers north of Nuku'alofa, capital of Tonga. This is an area of high seismic activity. It protrudes 100 meters above sea level, but below it stretches 1,800 meters long and 20 kilometers wide. Volcanologist Shane Cronin, professor of earth sciences at the University of Auckland in New Zealand, explains in an article in The Conversation, in 2009, 2014, and 2015, the volcano had magma and steam eruptions, but much smaller than the one in January 2022. This volcano is capable of producing eruptions as powerful as this one every 1,000 years. The volcano is inside of what is known as a caldera, which is a crater-like depression that deepens with each eruption. Was the eruption violent? And if so, how violent was it? The 8-minute eruption was so powerful that it could be heard more than 800 kilometers away. The column of smoke and ash reached 20 kilometers in height, 260 kilometers in diameter. Cronin claims that this was one of the strongest eruptions in the last 30 years in the Tonga region. The Tonga volcano is a basaltic type, like those in Hawaii or the Canary Islands. That is, its eruptions are not as violent compared to other types of volcanoes. Basaltic eruptions are categorized by a spill of flowing magma. The difference is made by a contact of magma with seawater, according to geologist Daniel Melnick, a researcher at the Earth Sciences Institute of the Austro University in Chile. The expert refers to the fact that when magma, which can be around 1000 Celsius, comes into abrupt contact with water, an extremely violent reaction occurs that fragments the magma. This phenomenon is known as fuel-coolant interaction. Thus, a chain reaction begins, in which new magma fragments come into contact with water, generating new explosions that launch volcanic particles and detonations with supersonic velocities, according to Cronin. The volcanologist, however, points out that the violent explosion cannot be explained solely by the interaction of magma with water. According to him, this explosion shows that large quantities of fresh magma loaded with gas erupted from the caldera. The expert mentions that through analysis of ashes in previous eruptions and radiocarbon technologies, he has been able to establish that these eruptions at Hungatunga Hungahapai, the last one occurred in 1100. The January 15 eruption appears to be just within the time period to be big, Cronin writes. Melnick, meanwhile, cautioned that it is still too early to know how the size of this eruption compares with those of other recent eruptions of other volcanoes. What caused the tsunami? According to Melnick, there have been two main causes. The first was the eruption itself. The expert refers to an explosive bombshell that pushes large quantities of water. And the second is that the eruption produced the collapse of the volcano's caldera. With that comes a submarine collapse that also pushes water. That's why after the eruption there was only a small piece of the island, explains Melnick. What can we expect in the coming days? Right now, the eruption area surely looks like Mordor, says Melnick, referring to the hellish-looking country from the Lord of the Rings saga. The expert explains that the smoke and ash blowing thickly through the air interact with each other and with the atmosphere, creating thunderstorms and strong winds in the area. It may be weeks before it returns to normal, the expert says. He also maintains that there may be more volcanic activity, but there won't be an eruption like this by any means. What can happen is a new collapse because of all the material is unstable. There may be a submarine collapse and generate another tsunami, but with more local effects in Tonga or Fiji. Cronin, for his part, adds that although this was an event that released great magma pressure, it is not known if it was the climax of the eruption. The other expert points out that other eruptions of this volcano's caldera have included several separate explosions. We could be in for several weeks or even years of major volcanic upheaval from the Hungatunga Hungahapai volcano, Cronin says. For the sake of the people of Tonga, I hope not, the volcanologist concludes. Anyway, we have reached the end of the video. Please like and subscribe if you have not yet done so. Leave us your opinion in the comment box to know what you think.